All right. I'm here with Joshua Chase. And Joshua, I think we get right into this, man. Most of the people watching this probably know who you are, but how much weight did you lose in the program?
Well, really, it was amazing in my opinion because I've always done physical fitness and lifted and tried to maintain a good, positive body image of myself. But I was probably around 180 to 185 pounds, somewhere in there when we first started this back in May or June of last year, 2024. And it was weight that I had struggled to kind of get off my body because I had been working out for such a long time and just really comfortable eating whatever I wanted to. So my mean weight around that time was 180, 185.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So it was interesting because I know when you first started, you were working out, right?
Mhm.
And you're just like, I was like, oh, this guy's kind of already a beast in the gym, right? It seemed like. So what was it when you say like eating whatever you want? What was the actual specific thing you were struggling with before working with us?
Well, there's a couple of different things. I think that, my wife and I would work out, and we had a specific workout system and routine that we would do. So I probably got too comfortable with that. And also, I had blown out my shoulder, probably maybe 5 or 10 years ago. And I had already always lifted, but never had the ability to build up my lifting, the weight that I am putting up and so on and so forth since that accident. So really, what I struggled with was a good plan to build me up from scratch, where I felt stronger and was able to actually build lean muscle. And number two, really bringing the accountability to a different level in the community was very, very helpful. I looked forward to the, regular announcements of who hit their goals or who had a lower weight and so on and so forth. And I knew a couple of the guys, that were going through the system at the same time. So it was, a point of competition, if you will, slightly. But more so was understanding what I was putting in my body, you know what I mean? Versus, what I found to be really, really helpful was the menu that you guys have. You have all of the different menus for a lot of the different restaurants in the area, so that if I knew I was going out for dinner, I knew kind of what I wanted to use, what I didn't want to use, and what I want to stay away from entirely. And it really provided me with a lot more comfort and also ability to follow through on what I was learning in my default actions because I could just open up my phone and say, okay, I'm going to this restaurant, all right, I can have that. That's this and this and that. That works.
Yeah.
And be able to really kind of map out and still have a good time out at night with my wife was really amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think it was really cool because when we met in October at the Goodlife Conference, that's like a normal situation where most guys would kind of go off the rails, right? Okay, I'm at this business conference and there's a bunch of food options, and obviously you guys make it health focused, right? But still, like there's opportunities to go off the rails.
Yeah.
It just happening left and right. So, how did what we helped you with actually help you navigate like specific situations like that, where it's a business conference for a few days, and how did that improve?
Well, really just the mindset and the know-how of what my default actions are going to be. I can really set myself up for success in this because I can eat similar things over and over and over again and find that that's okay. So you guys helped me to really think about if I'm going to be traveling, which I do a lot for my job, what is something that I can get that is high in protein and reasonable in my caloric intake to have for, let's say, breakfast. And it's a sandwich that I would get from a specific breakfast restaurant chain. And it has, all the protein I need, and it has really good caloric, value for it. And it sets me up for my whole day. And I know I can go and get that anywhere. And, I really kind of that thought process, that default action of that meal is going to set me up. And as long as I do that, I can really then for the rest of my day know what I'm going to, be able to map out within my caloric, daily restriction, if you will, my daily value. So what I would have to say to that is you guys helped me to really, instead of just look at what a calorie means in my daily caloric intake, but then really map it out almost like a budget, right? I'm good with money, I'm good with numbers, and I'm good with, mapping things out. So you guys helped me to kind of bring all that together, but with my diet and with the accountability to go along with that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's huge because I think there are so many principles that lead to success in managing finances and building wealth that we just directly apply to this
Yeah.
ends up working the same way, right? So
Yeah.
that's really cool to make that connection. And yeah, so what were the actual like number one physical results on the scale that you saw, but then also like outside of just the scale? I know you were 185 when you started, and then what's been the weight range that you've been maintaining since then?
The lowest I've actually gone was below 150.
Wow.
And I kind of changed. We made some tweaks at that point because I really didn't want to go much below one. I even said in the beginning I didn't want to go below 170. But really, as the weight started to come off and as the default actions became reality and my actual, maintained daily, prescription of how I went through my life, um, I found it almost like I needed to continued to go because once it started going, it really went. And you could start to see through the pictures and through the documentation and through the weighing and the accountability, not just the numbers start to go down. And by the way, I went from 180 to 185 down to 150, as I mentioned, 155. And right now I'm staying around 155, 160, 155, 150, depending on if I'm on the road traveling or if I'm at home. And it's a comfortable weight for me because this is weight that I've had on my body since sixth grade or seventh grade. So, I mean, I was 175 pounds when I went to freshman year in college. I was 175, 80 pounds when I was in, middle school because I always had this weight on me. And being this weight right now, this level of comfort, the way that my body feels, I'm going to be 45 this year. I work out an hour plus a day. I walk a mile plus, sometimes 2 miles. We're doing the regular sets and different things that I've learned through my default actions and through the workouts and through the apps that were curated by Chris and by y'all to really, have a winning plan. And once it starts to become, as you say, a default action, it just really goes and it's just maintaining that. And
Yeah.
then being confident and comfortable that you know what you're doing and how to maintain that. So
Yeah.
really, it's been the whole package. I mean, having Chris check in regularly was amazing. Having you guys check in regularly, amazing. Having the commonality and the community of the channels and of the resources, really, it's the ultimate package.
That's awesome. Yeah, dude, that's fantastic. And I guess something I'm really curious about is after you weren't working with us directly, right? You mentioned like holidays, travel. How were you actually able to maintain through all that once we were done working together?
Well, I mean, it's really just it's like autopilot. I mean, the actions continue just because I don't, maintain the same presence in the community as I did before with the relationship. Those actions are still there. It's not I forget about them. It still means something to me to wake up and lift weights and to feel confident and happy in my day. And you guys really built that back up for me, not to say that I wasn't happy working out prior, but now like I'm doing 35s, I'm doing 45s, with dumbbells, which I used to do, 10 years ago. But now I'm 10 years older and it's just it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You guys showed me the plan to get there. And now it's just I just have to maintain that plan and keep doing it.
Yeah,
And so far it's just worked very, very well. And it's very easy because you guys built those core steps in my mind of what I need to do and how I need to do it. And now it's just up to me to replicate.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's really, I think, what success is in this, right? Like not just losing the weight initially, but okay, can you sustain this post direct instruction? And like you have, which is incredible. So yeah, something I'm curious about too is for you more tangibly outside of just like the weight and looking better and the physical, how did this impact your life overall outside of just the physical?
I think it's been very, very positive, very positive. I mean, I've always used weightlifting and working out to, be a release of energy and to make myself feel great. You know what I mean? Just the natural endorphins of it. But now, people recognize it that haven't seen me for a while, and they're like, "Wow, that how did you do it?" And who helped you do this kind of situation. So it was more along the lines of, from this point going forward it's just it brought a different level to where I am physically, and the level of confidence also grew along with that because you know going back to the strength that I had prior to getting hurt, definitely when you can't lift as much as you used to, it's a little deflating, right? But now feeling like I can control going back up the rungs, from 30 to 35 to 40 to 45 and beyond again, it's rejuvenating, is what I would say is the answer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. I definitely feel like I recognized that at the event in October. I was like, this is the most high energy person I've ever met in my life. And it's really cool to see that tangibly, man. So yeah, I love that. So I guess something else I'm curious about is before actually doing this, have you tried to lose the weight using other methods before? And if so, what were those and how come you think they didn't really stick?
I mean, I've used gyms, I've used different types of systems. My wife and I bought, right as COVID started, we bought a system that's in the house, that would allow us different workouts and weights, but nothing where I am today. We would also mountain bike. I would run. I've run half marathons. I would also, counted calories and, put them all into a, app, much like we would use, for this system. But what I would say is that you guys tied it all together into one relationship that provided a need of accountability. So there's no way for me to skate by, right? You're seeing what I'm eating. You're seeing my weight and you're seeing my pictures. You know what I mean? You're seeing me go through the workouts. You're asking me how it's working, what needs to change, how it feels. So there's no way for me to BS it, right? And I'm not saying like people go into these things and BS it or don't really take the steps, but you kind of provide that accountability backbone that I think a lot of people fall by the wayside. And I'm not saying that's me personally. I just think that it was all of the right parts of the puzzle at the right time. And the community aspect of it just kind of fueled the ability to go further.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. That makes so much sense. Like bringing everything together. Um, that I guess is part of the success, like recipe here, right?
Yeah.
So something that I'm also curious to hear from your perspective is there's definitely like I wish I could say a million percent success rate in DK with people we work with, but that's just not reality, right? And what's interesting to me is that there's some people who we can provide all the support and success planning to and the accountability to, short of flying out and knocking the Twinkies out of their hands. And some people just do not like internalize it for themselves. And some people do. And the people who do, those are people who win, right? Like they end up keeping themselves accountable. And that's evident once the direct accountability is gone and you continue to keep yourself accountable on your own.
Mhm.
So my question is for you, how come you think you were able to adopt this as part of who you were rather than just like listening to coaches who were telling you what to do?
For me personally, since I've worked out since, the seventh or eighth grade, working out has always been a part of me or for a very, major part of my 45 years on this planet. But I think that what you guys did, personalizing the workout, um, keeping me in the game in the terms of, regular touch points, regularly asking, how these things work make it a lot easier for someone that, let's say, isn't as naturally inclined to get up and go to the gym as I am. It kind of inspires you, at least in the way that I would think, to get up and go and do that because you're going to have that accountability. But overall, I think that you just have to, if you're going to build something and you've never done it before, you need to have good instructions. And you can try and build something without instructions, but you're going to end up missing pieces and it's not going to be as good, right? You guys, no matter how quickly I want to build something or how I want to do it, you guys have the exact blueprint of all I have to do is want to do it. So I think it's just a real simple question. Do you want to change? Do you want to make the first step and then the continuing step to do so? Because if that's the case, then this will work for you. Because all you really have to do is just take that first step and start to follow through. And once you push that rock a little bit, it's going.
Mm.
And it's just follow through at that point. So, I mean, I think you guys provide everything that's there. For anyone that answers that question, yes, I'd like to actually try and make a difference and really try and do it this time.
That makes so much sense. And I love the way you put that because I feel like that's what I notice on the front end of this as well is now 90% of my job is basically asking people like, do you actually want to do this? Like, do you want to make the change? We can help. Right. But that's huge, man. I love that. Okay, cool. So to close this thing off, like if there's anybody who is listening to you and they're kind of sitting there watching this, still wondering like, can I do this? Or should I do this? What about your experience, and I guess just with your perspective now, would you say to them as to why they should want to make the change?
I think we all have different wants and different, ideas of who we should be and our body image and so on and so forth. And if you have, that question in your mind, like, can I look better or should I look better or do I need to look better or is my health, demanding that I do? This is an easy, straightforward, step-by-step process that, in my opinion, if you follow through, it will do something. It will change. Automatically it's going to be different for everybody, but it's not. If you follow the steps and you don't try and skate or try and cheat,
Mhm.
it's mathematics. It's eventually going to happen. The caloric deficit that you go into, the extra muscle that you're burning, and it's going to work. You just have to take the first step, which is to start, and the second step, which is to continue.
I love that. I love that. That is perfect. Thank you so much for emphasizing that because that's I guess what I want all people to know is that the process when you have all the right pieces is very simple. It is actually inevitable
Mhm.
as long as you commit and follow through. That's
I
it.
mean, it's nothing's perfect. Nothing is, for sure. But if you want to make a difference and you really want to do this, this is an investment in you that you're not going to regret.
Awesome. Well, dude, thanks for taking the time to do this. And also thank you for working so hard, man. It's so cool just watching you run around that conference and just basically flex on everyone. Yes, Joshua, let's go. So yeah, man, I appreciate you doing this. And yeah, hopefully this inspires some people too.
I hope that it does. And trust me, this is not a bad decision if you're looking to change your life and want to get in shape. And Gabe and everybody in Default Kings, they'll have your back from day one.
Uh,
Thanks for everything that you did, man. And I appreciate you and your entire crew because it changed my life.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day, man. Talk to you soon.